Hey everybody, it's Rick. Thanks for coming to check out this video. This video is gonna be a little different than from my previous vids. Uh, this is something that I've been wanting to make for a long time, but I couldn't really put into words about my feelings on the subject. Or like even now, it's still very difficult to find the right words, and I might stutter and backtrack, but I'll try to do my best to keep, the points clear and stuff. Now, I'm not making this video for attention or for a cry for help or anything, because I've learned to live with it, and I've kind of know how to navigate my way through it. But if this video helps somebody who's feeling the same way or very similar, and if it helps them, then that's the goal. Because going life feeling like this, it's very difficult, and I really wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. But yeah, I guess let's get started to story time. So growing up, it was pretty much average life, living with the mom and dad, and three sisters, but well, half sisters because they were my dad's daughters, but from his previous marriage, before he met my mom. We didn't really grow up together. My three half sisters weren't with their mom. So my life was growing up, in a household, growing up as an only child, pretty much. It was pretty average, but the older I got, I kind of started noticing some things that I would hear other kids like in school talking about, like, oh, I was with my parents the whole weekend, or like we did this stuff, we went out. But in my case, it was just me and my mom, pretty much, because my dad was always working, and we never really had vacations or took family trips or anything, because uh, we didn't really have a lot of money. But my dad, he provided enough for us to get by, because he was working all the time, but we never really got to spend a lot of time as a family, like on vacations or trips or anything like that. And I guess that was one aspect of that contributed to my depression later on. So obviously I was a lot closer to my mom because of that. Not because I didn't love my dad, I do, but it's just, he wasn't really around a lot. Um, then the older I got through middle school, high school, uh, I wasn't really talkative. Because at one point I was, but I guess people found me annoying talking about all the stuff I like, because my interests were very niche. Not everybody was really into it, because like I was into anime, Yu-Gi-Oh. I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh, and technology stuff, and people didn't really care for it. And so at that point, I kind of started talking less and less, and I was less open, because I started to see or feel that if I wanted to talk, I never really had any interesting or anything that people would find interesting to have a conversation with. So I just kind of pretty much stayed quiet. And over the years, it got you know worse and worse, I guess, um, to the point where isolation really started to the feeling of isolation really started to sink in. Like I did have a few friends, not a lot, but three, four, five. semi relatively close friends. We would hang out from time to time, not frequently, but we did. But even with them, I wasn't really open with them either because I kind of felt like I was just gonna be bothersome. So I was just pretty much in the background, the background friend just vibing. Um, and then I guess later on, I just kind of started seeing the world differently. I started seeing more of the negative things and seeing how there was more negative in the world than positive. And that also started affecting me little by little to the point where I was starting to feel like, is this really all life is? Is just going through this kind of stuff? And at that point, I was like, what's the point of living? I don't know. I don't really know how to describe the feeling, but it even started to affect me religiously, where I stopped believing in God and started seeing as a religion as kind of like a thing, a different thing. I don't know. Like, I kind of really don't want to really get into that because I don't want to start. Because, like, I'm not religious myself, but if you are, like, nothing against you, you know. Hopefully you feel the same way. Because, like, if you believe in something, if it helps you get through life, whatever, like, I respect that genuinely. But yeah, it started to affect me where like I just didn't believe in that kind of thing anymore. And keep going through, I just started to feel worse and worse. I started feeling more isolated and alone. And what I'm gonna be talking about next, just a trigger warning. Just a heads up. It got to a point where I made an attempt on my life, where I took some pills and hoping like, okay, this is it. You know, uh, I texted some friends and saying thanks for everything, and I hope you're all doing well. And I remember going to sleep with the feeling of relief that like it'll be over soon, and I won't have to feel this way anymore. And lo and behold, I woke up. I felt sick, and I never told anybody this except my mom. I didn't tell her right away, but I just started feeling worse, and I opened up to her about it. And I remember the look on her face when I told her, and she started crying, and she was apologizing that she just kept saying that I'm so sorry, that she felt like she only brought me into this world to suffer. And we had a moment because she opened up to me about her previous traumas, and it was a moment that I'm really not gonna forget, because me and my mom we got super close through it, and it was just like a thing between me and her. And you know we kind of worked through it, where I promised her that I would keep going and I wouldn't give up. And to this day, I've kept that promise, obviously. Uh, then later on, our house. I think there was like a year or two after this. Our house got broken into, and they didn't really take a lot. They just pretty much got some of my mom's jewelry, and I guess that's all they could really manage because uh, I guess they didn't really have enough time because when we went out, we just went for like a quick errand. And I guess they saw us coming through the window or something because they left out the back door. But yeah, we went in and saw like the blindfolds were kind of like broken, like where their fingers were at, where they were keeping look at or something. And yeah, after that, my parents decided, wasn't really safe here anymore. So we moved into my sister's house, like in the garage basement area because it was pretty big. It was pretty much like a second house, pretty much. We stayed there while my dad was trying to figure out what we were gonna do or where we were gonna go next. And then later on, there was some drama between my parents and my sister, and there was discussion about how she was raising her kids and how my parents kept telling her that like that's really not the way you should be doing things. And then the one thing escalated into another to the point where they she kicked us out, or more so kicked them out, and I was allowed to stay. But the only part of me that really wanted to stay was because of my nephews, where I thought of them as like my little brothers because I was helping, taking care of them since they were babies, pretty much. And so I didn't really see them as, in my eyes, they weren't my nephews. In my eyes, they were my little brothers, and we were super, super close. But I just didn't really see a future for me in where I was living at. So I went with my parents and we moved to Alabama. And the plan was for my parents were going to move to Mexico because they were done living here in the United States because it's been just one problem after another. And financially, we just were not well off. We were struggling. And at that point, I just didn't see it. I guess because I was like in my own world. I guess. Yeah, to the point that they were just fed up with living in America, and they decided to leave. And then they came to me saying, "Well, do you want to come with us, or do you want to, stay? Because you have your whole life here." And I told them I want to stay and see what I can accomplish. And we said our goodbyes. They left, and I stayed behind. And at that point, I was on my own financially for the first time in my life. I was completely on my own financially. Um, I did have a job, and so I was able to get my own food and stuff. And my uncle was rented me a room in the house. Pretty much, the rent was like super, super, super cheap, and he was very generous about that. And for that, I'm still grateful. Um, but it was a learning experience living on my own like that for the first time, or in the sense, uh, uh, but at that point I started exploring, hobbies and stuff. I really, really got into music, where me and my cousins we making our own songs and everything and recording everything on our own, and they just they weren't super great, but I was still very proud of it because it's something that we made together and we made on our own. And yeah, I got into exercising and stuff and working out too. And I got to the point where I got a better job, better paying job, but it was very it was very taxing because it was very stamina draining because it was a very physically inclined job. And I was in that job for, gosh, I want to say like about 13 years, 13 years. And the work routine fatigue started to sit in where it was just, waking up early, going to work, and then coming back home too tired to really do anything. And then my 2 days off were pretty much one day just really not doing anything, just trying to recharge and trying to recover from the long week. And then the next day was pretty much all my errands and everything I had to do, like grocery shopping and paying bills and whatnot. And then the next day is back to work. So that routine fatigue started to sink in, and at that point, I just started to feel very burnt out and tired, and I was slowly losing interest in my hobbies. And I just also I stopped going out and hanging out with friends because I just felt like I was always in a bad mood all the time. And I didn't really want to be around them because I didn't want to bring the mood down. I didn't want to be the negative Nancy of the group, you know? So I guess in my head, I was, well, better away from them so they feel better without Mr. Negative, being around all the time. And then, unfortunately, came the time where my mom got really sick. And I remember the way she looked. I wasn't with them. We were on a video call, and my dad had to put the phone up to her face because she just couldn't move at all. And I remember the way her eyes looked, how there was barely any life left in those eyes. And something in me told me that this is it. She's not gonna make it. And I wanted to ignore that feeling because I just, she's my mom. She has to get through this. And I just that the way her eyes looked, I'm never gonna forget that. I'm never gonna be able to forget it. But you know, we ended the call, and then the next morning, we didn't go to work because it was too rainy to work since we work outside. I remember taking my car to the mechanic for some new wipers because I couldn't find them anywhere else, and went there. I got that. I got an oil change, and I was driving back to my apartment, and I see my cousins outside, waiting for me, and they couldn't look me in the eyes when I went up to say hey, and asked, what's up, and they were just quiet. They were looking down. They couldn't look at me, and they're saying like, we should, there's something we got to talk about. And in my heart, I already kind of knew, but we went inside into my apartment and sat down. And before they started talking, I get a phone call, and it was my dad. And like at that point, my heart sank because I knew. And he said, I remember him saying, you gotta be strong and embrace yourself. But your mom passed away in her sleep, and this it wasn't even sadness for that split second. It was just rage and so much anger that I started to repeatedly punch the wall. And I sat down and I started crying. And I said, my dad just said, you gotta be strong, and I gotta go because I gotta, take care of things here. And he hung up. And then I think my cousins were a little bit scared because of how I reacted. But like at that point, I just wasn't thinking. I just got filled with rage, and after that, that's when the sadness started to kick in, and started talking for a little bit, and I just told them that, like, I appreciate you guys being here, but like I think I need to be alone for a little bit. And I didn't know how to process it. And like sometimes I still don't. It's been almost 6 years since my mom passed, and it feels like a part of me died with her, because after the moment we shared from that one time, um, to me, she was the only person on this planet that I could go to and talk about absolutely anything without critique or judgment or anything, just an open ear and an open heart. And losing her, I was never the same again. And to this point, like, I still couldn't overcome it. And at that point, I kind of wanted to die too. But I remember the promise I made to her, that from that day, that that I wouldn't give up, that I would keep going no matter what, because what if I somehow find happiness in the end? But yeah, after her passing, I just never really, I wasn't really the same anymore. Like a small part of me died with her that day. A couple years later, I was on a call with my dad, and I was telling him how I can't find happiness no matter where I look or what I tried to do in life. I just feel like everything, like there's really no point. And then the idea came was, well, why not move to Mexico where he is, and it would be like a fresh start in life. I can start from scratch. Literally, because it's a whole different culture and it's a different language. And at first, I was scared because my whole life here in America, and then just to give all that up, just to start over, just because I was feeling depressed, and then I like I needed like a respark in life or something. Like, wasn't really worth it to me at that point. Like, I don't know. like I don't know how to explain it, but I was very hesitant about it. But then it was just going to work, and it just started feeling worse and worse. And I was thinking, well, if I go to Mexico, I wouldn't have this kind of job anymore. I think I would have a little bit more options because with my English, I've been told that I could get a good paying job in Mexico, and I wouldn't have to be breaking my back all the time, physical labor and stuff. So I made the move. I made the move in April of 2025, and it's been almost a year since I moved here, and I still feel like it was one decision that I still regret because coming here, I was told, well, you won't be alone because I was living alone in my own apartment. I was told that, moving here, you want to be alone. You have me, you have dad, stepmom, and stepbrother and stepsister. And now, stepbrother and stepsister, they don't even talk to me. They don't even talk to me anymore. So, go figure. Still kind of close with my dad and my stepmom. Uh, yeah. Uh, but moving here to Mexico, it's still a decision that I do still regret because coming here, I had an idea where like, well, I'll have more options, and my English would help me get a good paying job where I would be living comfortably, and I wouldn't really have to break my back working physically anyway. But it's been the complete opposite of that. I've never felt more alone and isolated because I didn't grow up here. So I can speak Spanish, but it's not perfect. It's enough where like I can kind of like get by with like a greeting, like, hey, what's up, how you doing, stuff like that. But when it comes to like jokes and stuff like that, it's just stuff that I don't understand because I didn't grow up with that humor, and like I said, like the cultures were are different. Um, but yeah, moving here, I felt like in America, I kind of had this feeling growing up where like I didn't really feel like I belonged, and here it's even worse because like you were born from Mexican parents, you should be thriving in Mexico, but like now because I was raised in America, but yeah, I just feel more like I don't fit in here at all. Uh, through my job right now, I've made a couple of friends. They're uh they're a little bit quirky, but they're good people, and I like being around them. They're fun. They're fun being around with, and it never gets boring with them around. But even though we get along, there's still like that feeling in me, like because like our humor, it's kind of similar, but it's also different at the same time. So like when they start making jokes and stuff, and like some half of it, like I just like it goes over my head. I don't understand it, but there's some things that I do, and hopefully it gets better. But yeah, still living with like that depression that just never really it never went away. and I guess it's something that I have to keep living with. At least now I know how to navigate with it. I know how to navigate through it. Enough to the point where I won't make another attempt like how I did when I was, back when I was like 15. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about this because I never really talked to anybody about this. And, if you're going, if you're someone that's been going through like depression and stuff, like, you can, you can, you can get through it, or at least maybe like me, you can learn to live with it to enough where like you're still, going through life. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just talking at this point. Um, I don't know if I'll ever really find happiness. It'd be great if I did, but if I don't, at least I'm glad that I got to experience some good moments with friends like my cousins that, damn, I miss them like crazy because we got along so well. Like we still do. We still talk from time to time. And that's one thing I do miss about being in America is because I got to hang out with them a lot, and now I know moving away, I'm just kind of scared that that we'll start drifting apart, and I hope it doesn't happen because if I lose them, then I really, really won't really have anybody at that point because you know, I don't know, like I love my dad and my stepmom, but we're just not I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like I love them, but I don't know. There's just like something that I just can't get close to them like I want to. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense or if like somebody can understand that feeling. But yeah, I guess that's really about this video. I kind of just wanted to put my feelings out there because I've had this bottled up for so many years and I've never really talked to anybody about this, or at least not in this much detail. But yeah, if this video helped you out, and that's great, and I'm glad. Uh, I don't know, I'm just rambling at this point. Anyway, thanks for checking the video out, and don't if you're going through something, don't quit or don't give up. You can get through it, or at least you can learn to navigate life with it to where a point where it won't affect your life as much, you know? And maybe in the future there'll be happiness for people like us. And I hope it happens. If not for me, then hopefully for you. But yeah, now if I keep going, I'm just gonna keep on rambling. So I guess I'll end it here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me an ear. And I hope everything goes great in your life. I genuinely mean that. But anyway, thanks for checking this video out, and I will see you in the next time. Peace.